Hi, good morning. Welcome to Soft Spot. Wonderful weather we having today, so I don't have any complaints about the weather, and even if I did have some complaints about the weather, who would care anyway? I've gotten to the point where I stopped listening to all the forecasts because the forecasts have been incorrect. Since the last show, we anticipated inches of snow that never came. Yesterday we anticipated snow that didn't come. We got a dusting. So here I am with this brand new power shovel. It's an electric shovel. You plug it in and it acts as a snow blower. Because as I said in the previous show, 2 years ago, during that major snow we had, while using the snow blower, the large scale one, it went out. It stopped pushing the snow through, and I had to keep on clogging it, and ultimately wound up using shovels to remove the snow from around the property and off of the driveway. And I think I broke 2 shovels, as a matter of fact. So I have a new shovel, I have a new power shovel, and I've been unable to use either one of them because of these forecasts. I mean, sure, I'm happy about it, but you know, us guys, when we go out and buy new toys, we want to go use our toys, and I haven't had the opportunity yet to shovel any snow. So I might have to use that new snow blower on maybe one of my potting projects. I'll go out there and I'll blow some topsoil through the... just kidding. I don't want to mess it up so I don't have it for next year either. But anyway, welcome. Welcome to Soft Spot. Glad you're here. Hope you have your cup of hot java. As always, you know I have mine. Last week's show, we concluded with the beginning of a discussion on entering into a relationship with someone. Because one of the things that was being discussed towards the end was how we are in relationships with people based on our own wants and needs. And that's something that we don't address. That's something we never speak to in any of our relationships. We always speak to the fact that of what somebody did wrong to you, or what somebody is doing wrong to you. That's always the focus. You did this to me, I did that to you, this was wrong, that's wrong. But if we look at life and relationships from reality-based thinking, all of us enter into a relationship with some condition, with some preconceived idea, with a perception, but most importantly, we enter into it satisfying a need that we have within ourselves. Think about it. You're in the supermarket and you're walking up the aisle and you see a person. There's an attraction. What is the attraction? For some, it could be the fact that you smelled their perfume, you smelled their cologne, and you like a person who smells nice. Okay, I smell nice. What significance does my smelling nice have to do with me being a caretaker, a giving person, a loving person, an affectionate person, a good father, a person who has the ability to resolve conflict, a person who is good with money management, a person who cares about me? Where's the significance there? There is none. But already we've become attracted to that other person based on something as simple as, I love a woman who smells nice. Her hair smells nice. Her hair smells clean. Her nails are always well manicured. Her feet are always well manicured. She covers herself in the manner that I like. Or she doesn't cover herself in the manner that I like. There's that attraction. But the attraction is based on a need, a desire, a preference within us. Within us. You have a person who is driving a nice car, an expensive car. Let's say a person is driving a next class, Mercedes or whatever it is your preferred vehicle is, and you're attracted because that's what they're driving. What is the attraction? What are you attracted to? Are you attracted to the idea that if they can drive that they have money? Are you attracted to the idea that you will look nice behind the driver's wheel of that vehicle? Or maybe look good chilling in the passenger seat with your roof down so everybody can see you. You have the see me mindset. Or you believe that person can get you one. Or you believe whatever it is that you've developed within your mind about that image. That's what you're attracted to. It is satisfying a need. It is satisfying a desire within you. The same for someone who may be of the same religious practices. You see this person is pretty consistent with attendance to services. This person seems to be pretty consistent with modeling a behavior that is becoming of that particular religious order. And that's an attraction. You see a person who just comes to work every day. That's an attraction. We have to begin to look at the reason why we are attracted to people. Why we're attracted to people. Because in most cases, and I'll say this with confidence, in most cases, we have gotten a very small picture of that individual, but we have satisfied the need within us to move forward in beginning to have a relationship with that person. And we don't know anything beyond that which we see, that which satisfies that need within us. That's as far as we've gotten so far. So now we begin to let's say date, because it's not a whole lot of dating that goes on anymore. There's not a whole lot of courting that goes on anymore, but let's call it dating. You begin to see this person, and you want to see where they take you. Now, if they say, "Well, I'm going to take you take you out for dinner tonight, and I'm going to surprise you," well, sometimes they may be the one who really gets the surprise dropped upon them, because you didn't think that we were going to be going to Red Lobster. You thought maybe we were going to the Chart House. Why would you think that? And out of the people that I described to you, who I defined that attraction to, what gave you the idea that they would be taking you to such a place? And why would they need to take you to such a place? What are you looking for? What are you looking for? If we're going to a hotel, why do we need to go to the Ritz? Why do we need to go to the highest priced hotel? What is the need? What is that demonstrating? What is that saying about you and your need? Because this is not about the other person. But it's always made about the other person, because the other person is judged by your own wants, needs, and desires. That's how people are judged. That's how people are judged. They're judged by what it is that they bring to the table to satisfy your needs. Period. And I'll fight anybody tooth and nail, intellectually, not physically. Intellectually, I will fight you tooth and nail to dispute somebody that says otherwise, because that's not the truth. It's not the truth. All of us have an idea of what it is that we want from a person. All of us do. And as we go along through this dating process, this is a ritual. And you'll find that this ritual takes place in every relationship that you have And you will find that you continue this ritualistic manner of courting, right? Still looking for the same things, but still expecting different results. But you're practicing the same exact ritual. And the ritual is, I respond to my needs. When I see a person that I'm attracted to, my needs kick in and override my rational, so-called rational thinking. And I move forward. Now I'm involved, because in order for you to be involved with the person, there has to be something that's so strong in that attraction that you gravitate towards them, that you go right to them, you find a way, you walk up that aisle and you stand in front of a product that you don't even use, just because you're near that person and you want that person to say something. You want to have some kind of interaction, some kind of opening, if you're not a person who's straightforward. You know, and you draw it in. It's like a lure. Like when, if anyone who goes fishing, you know, we put lures on the hook or attached to the line, you know, some bright color or something silver and shiny to attract that which we are really fishing for. Because every lure doesn't attract the same catch. So we'll do things to try to get to, because it is so overwhelmingly strong that you move towards it, almost touching the other person physically. But you find a way to connect with them, and we feel each other. And that's why we use that term, you feel me. Because you feel each other, and when somebody's putting off some real strong vibes, you feel it. And even if it's a person you weren't attracted to, even if a person you weren't even paying attention to, you will feel the vibe from that person. And that vibe that you feel from that person wakes up that inside of you that does desire something from that person. That vibe went right at you, and it cut through you like a knife. It hit the core of your heart. And you woke up and you turn around and you start looking around like, wait, hey, what's going on here? And then you see the other person, and then the connection is made, the eye contact is made. Now it's almost like a magnet. Y'all get drawn right to each other. And even in that brief moment, you weren't even, had you not even been attracted to that person, now something is happening. And you're not really entirely sure what's happening, but you're going along with it because it feels good. You feel me? So then what begins to happen is you hook up. You know, the usual thing. We start talking, and we start talking about the first thing that comes to mind, the first thing that's part of our ritual when we are engaging someone who we're attracted to. We go right into practicing the ritual, whatever it may be for you. And it doesn't always have to be some fake phony stuff. Sometimes, you know, you just, it's routine. Okay, when I meet a person I'm attracted to, this is automatically where I go. And that's another aspect of self that you have to begin to look at. Why do I go into this ritualistic performance when I meet certain people? Because that's a whole discussion on self-concept and self-perception and self-evaluation and self-assessment, which we're going to go into on the last session of How Did I Get Here, and that would be part 3. And because we'll wrap up there. But it's important to understand that at this point, now you are engaging one another. You're engaging one another. Now the person who was identified as the attractor is now somewhat in the fog about why there's an attraction there. Because your vibes were so strong, you threw them out to that person and they became attracted. Now you're having a discussion, and now we go out. And while we're going out, we're still riding on, it depends on how long also, how long before we do go out, the strength of that vibe, you know. So if it's like the next day or a few days, you know, usually within 1 to 2 weeks, and we hook up and we go out, it's pretty strong. Beyond that, it's a strong attraction, but then it goes more into being curious. Because now you have some feelings about the fact that this didn't happen quick enough, so it kind of died down, like all emotions do. It kind of died down, and it becomes a matter of curiosity. But during those 1 to 2 weeks, and you hook up and you begin to date, you're still riding on the high of that initial attraction. And just like any other drug, because I want you to use that analogy. Anything that you use to make you feel good, you keep using in order to remain at a certain plateau. So when you enter into this arrangement within that 2-week period, you are seeking to continue to elevate or sustain what it was that you experienced at the initial attraction. And as it goes on and goes on and goes on, you guys continue to see one another. What am I looking for? It's called tolerance. The tolerance level begins to decrease, and you need to have more. See, initially it was just like bam, and it's overwhelming, and it's got you riding on the high. You're like floating on a cloud. After you leave the person, you're all discombobulated. You're calling up your boy, you're calling your girl. You're wow, listen, I got to tell you, I just met you. Oh, listen. But what happens is, if you have not made any other connections to keep this going, then what you were initially attracted to begins to kind of subside. And it's no longer as exciting as it was when it started out. But here's what happens. And here's the piece that we all bypass. We've already connected intimately. We've done some things during this stage. Now, I didn't say that happened in 1 to 2 weeks. If it does, we're adults. Whatever happens, happens. I'm not making that judgment. That's a judgment that you have to make within yourself as to how soon and how long, all that. Because I'm not making that judgment. But we do things during the course of this time, during the course of the ride, the high, because now we're on the big wave. We're all the way up here now. And during that time, while it's up here and we're sustaining that level of intensity, it gets even more intense, because now we add on some other stuff, and some other stuff is real great. You know, the love making was fantastic. So you're still up here now. And still there's some things that have been missed that are very important during the course of this wave ride. And what happens is we become oblivious to the realities of life as we seek to have it or sought to have it. We lost sight of that. And it's easy to do that, especially if you never had something that made you feel that good. Not even sexually, but just intellectually you connected. You know, that whole body language, everything about that person, you just connected, and you're like, wow, I'm feeling this. Even after you thought you had closed the door on your heart. You had closed the door on love. You had closed the door on any level of intimacy. Now the door is open. It's wide open. And here we are again. Here we are again. And what happens is, as that wave begins to come ashore, because you know the waves are real high when they're out and they have the momentum when they're out in the full ocean. And that's what it feels like when it's just the two of you. You feel like it's just you and that person against the world. So when that wave is moving, it has all the momentum from the ocean. But the closer it gets to shore, the more shallow the water gets, the more the wave begins to die down, because it has to come down. And waves, you hear them splashing and smack against the rocks, and that's what ultimately happens when the wave comes ashore. And you know, when the wave comes ashore, it brings everything that was in the ocean with it. And then when the water subsides and goes back, it leaves debris. And the debris that is left is not necessarily trash. It's content of the ocean. Things from the bottom, things from the middle, things from the top of the ocean. Things that belong there, things that don't belong there. These are the things that are left on shore. So when the two of you find yourselves on shore, and you see that which has been left behind, now you want to start asking questions about one another. Very pertinent questions. But again, sometimes we don't ask certain questions because we don't want this to end. Because remember, I said everything that you saw on shore is not trash. We all come with some stuff. But some of that stuff is still covered by the sand. And some of the stuff that's covered by the sand is not necessarily intentionally covered by that person, because there are some things that that person may not know about themselves. Because there are things that others know about us that we don't know about ourselves. And I'm not talking about events that have happened, I'm just talking about character. There's things that people pick up from us that we don't know, that we don't realize that we're doing when we're around that person or other groups of people. It's like the Johari's window. Every time I disclose something to others about myself, it makes another window larger, but there's always a shift. This window gets smaller when I tell more. This window over here gets larger because now it's like things known to others. That window is larger because it's no longer something that people don't know. When I'm talking about what people don't know, I'm not talking about secrets. I'm not talking about those kind of things. I'm talking about characteristics. I'm talking about your flaws. I'm talking about your assets. I'm talking about your liabilities. I'm talking about the things that guide your relationships. So when we're involved at this point and we see these things on the sand, you know, sometimes you can just take your foot and move because you can see the top of it, but you don't really know what it is. And you can just take your foot and run your foot across the top of it and move the sand away and see it all, but you don't want to see it all. You don't want to see it all. And you have to ask yourself, why didn't you want to see it all? You have to ask yourself that. Because sometimes we'll even take our foot and we'll put more sand over top of it so it doesn't have to be seen at us either. And we can act like it doesn't exist. But we know when a person is covering up something that they saw about us because we see how they react when it is presented to them. It's like seeing that wounded look in the eye of the beholder of one of our less endearing traits. When we act out, people see it. We'll see the hurt in their face, or we see some kind of reaction in their face where they were affected by that characteristic of ours. But they'll downplay it for a variety of reasons. And many times we downplay behaviors that we see from other people in an effort to keep the peace, hope that it'll go away, cover the faults of others. Don't use their faults against them, you know, to be degrading, to be hurtful, to be harmful towards them. It's no need to point it out. Those kinds of things. But what we have to look at is, if we knew that that behavior affected our relationship, if that attitude affected our relationship, how you and I can, you know, have dialogue with one another, communicate with one another, live together, survive together, achieve together. If we see that and that area affects all those things and we're not saying anything about it, well, how can we turn around and look at the other person and say, in the end, well, it was because of you, this, that, and the other. But we're supposed to be partners in this. And we use terms such as, that's my partner, that's my boo, that's my this, that, and the other. But then there are characteristics about a person that we know are hurtful towards our continued growth, and we say nothing about it. We say nothing about it, and we accept it. We accept it. And before you know it, years down the line, we're still together. And all those characteristics that you found to be troublesome, you never had any discussion about. And you're unhappy, you're dissatisfied with your relationship. And you've yet to find resolve in any of those characteristics. And every time you're faced with that same characteristics from the person, you get balled up in a knot. They don't know why. And sometimes they do know why, but because you haven't addressed that conduct about them, they continue on with the same conduct towards you. And again, you minimize it all in the name of love. Love for what? Love for who? So these are the things that we need to begin to look at when we keep asking ourselves over and over again, how did I get here? How did I find myself in this same situation again, but with a different person? How? How? And that's usually the last question we ask ourselves. Because if I have to ask myself that, then I already know the truth, and the answer is going to go back to me. It's going to go back to me. And then I get pregnant. And now, those unresolved conflicts, controversies, are still unresolved, and now we're entering into another level of a relationship. And that's the scary part. And a lot of times, as men, we don't look at the fear that envelopes the woman of whom we have now impregnated. We don't look at it. We don't see the fear. We get the fear presented to us through heightened, unstable emotions. Because I can't say to you that, listen, I can't have a child by you, but I'm pregnant. But I don't want a child by you. I don't want children by you. Because you have proven to be inconsistent in particular areas. I, within myself, in my own thinking, saying this out loud, have not addressed some stuff that I'm not comfortable with. And now I have to make a shift to parenthood. And I'm scared to death. Because I'm going to be a mother. You're going to be a father. But I'm going to be a mother. And I have to deal with this. And that means in dealing with this, I have to do what? So there's some decisions that have to be made. And a lot of times, as men, we're oblivious to what's happening with a woman emotionally at that point. Especially if we know ourselves and are honest, even if it's just with us, within us, about ourselves and who we are. Next show, we're going to continue this conversation and conclude with the self-perception, self-concept, self-assessment, all those things. I thank you for joining me. at Side Spot, and as always, God bless. Enjoy your day. Peace.